Yeah. Good evening, everyone. So myself, Prabhu. I'm the organizer for this CUG Coimbatore group, and I have Vignesh and Gautam is also there along as an organizer for this group. And so today we are going to present a wonderful concept called architecture and APIs integrating with Sitecore. It's completely with Next.js. I think we have Muhammad Sirajuddin with us. He's the one who is going to present that, and we would like to ask Siraj to get started with that. Uh,
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for the introduction. And hi, everyone. This is Muhammad Sirajuddin. I don't know, many of you guys do not know about me. So let me introduce myself. I'm having a total 12 years of experience in IT industry, and I worked with various companies, and I have 9+ years of experience in particularly Sitecore. So I am working currently in CEA India Private Limited as a technical Sitecore technical lead. So today I'm going to present one of the recent learnings that is architecture and APIs integrating, particularly for Next.js with Sitecore editor. So I started learning the Next.js for last 2 to 3 months because I didn't get an opportunity to work with real time. But so no blockers from our side. Okay, it's open, so we can learn anything and we can share and so brainstorm ourselves with the knowledge and so getting the knowledge, sharing the knowledge. Okay, that is the process. It's an unending process we have to follow. Yeah, this is today agenda. As you see, we are going to start with the JSS and Next.js application. I'm not going to create anything from the scratch because it will be time consuming, and also that it's not a agenda of today. We are going to see how it is working with the experience editor. I have already my Next.js application created in local. I'm going to show you and how we can create it, and then how we can run locally. So there are the two modes for local, disconnected and connected mode, and for production we have integrated, but I'm not covering that. So here we have a disconnected and connected mode, and we have pre-render methods, static site generation, server side rendering, and we have a API service methods like REST or GraphQL. And so we are going to see the creation of component, how we can create and how we have to map it with the items, and how it is integrating into the experience editor, and how it is going to work, and what all the APIs are required for integrating Next.js with the experiences. That is the important topic, and we're going to cover. Okay, I don't know the audience why I can directly jump into the integrating, but few audiences are new. Okay, they might not understand. That's why I just cover few basics, and then I'm pitching with this integrating with the experience editor. We don't have any runtime demo or something, but we are going to debug, maybe debug from the logs, and we are going to see how it is working through the Visual Studio Code, and that walkthrough I'm going to do that. So maybe I'll just go with the full screen. So I'm going to walk through the how to create the JSS Next.js application using CLI, and I already written one article in LinkedIn as well. Okay, you can refer that link for the Scratch development, but I'm going to show you the important one for this particular meeting. So you can install the Sitecore JSS package, and once you install it, and you can give the folder where it will install, and you have to mention what framework you are using. Okay, you have to use the Next.js. So when you click this, after that, okay, it will pop up like this. So here the important thing is you have to the Sitecore host name you have to give. So that is your local running Sitecore host name. And this is how to fetch the data. So okay, either there are the two options. One is a REST, or second one is a GraphQL. From my point of view, I'm giving a REST, and I will tell you okay what is a REST and how do you like to pre-render your application, this is the pre-render method. This is the SSR, server-side rendering I have given. So once you given that, so it will create a local Next.js applications. And so application will be created like this. You will see once you run that, you will get the application structure like this. So if you worked already with the React or Angular or Vue.js, the same, because it is purely based on the node module structure, and it is an NPM package, right? Okay, so it will create the structure are same. And the important thing is JSS configuration file, and we have other Sitecore config, I will tell you. So these are all the structure. Once you done that, so I already told, like we have two modes we can run our Next.js application. The first one is disconnected mode and connected mode. So disconnected mode doesn't require, because if we are going to start from the code first workflow, like you are if we have only the UA resources, and UA resources can start immediately started working, so they do not care about the Sitecore instance, okay, then they can start their work through the disconnected mode. And so we can host our application locally like this, and we have uh, the command to run the application locally. So for that, we can go to JSS disconnected. As I told already, this is my okay, sorry, JSS dot. Sorry, JSS dot. And as I told already, we have the local application in this particular folder Next.js. Once we start with the disconnected mode, it will be taken all the components and renderings happening through the local folder mappings. And so it doesn't require any Sitecore. So if you see, if I go here, still compiling. Yeah, this is my local application. So as you see, for some differences, I wanted to show, okay, see that I have only one component I mapped with this component is this one, sorry, this page is a Siraj component. If you see, and if I go to the so en dot this one YML. Okay, so we have locally, and I have configured that Siraj component. Okay, maybe that's why it is showing the Siraj component here. So maybe I will show it the difference when I connected with the Sitecore, because Sitecore I don't have this component, I have a different component. So let me go to that. For Sitecore, we have the other. So if you wanted to connect with the Sitecore, we have the connected mode. So it requires running Sitecore instances. So this is we use it for the Sitecore first development workflow. Okay, if you have the two developers parallelly, the Sitecore developer as well as the UA developer, okay, they can start with this mode and they can work by deploying the files, okay, from here to there. And so for that, if you go here, I will show you the Sitecore. Yeah, I already have that Sitecore JSS app because I already did the import from the local to here. So when I did the import, okay, it has been created the this structure in the Sitecore, and the Sitecore has I already created some components like my component and the product component. And so the my component I have already attached with the home item. If you see presentation details and the final layout, see, so this is the layout. Okay, I have already attached the my component. There is no Siraj component here. So I just ran the JSS start connected. So when I run, okay, it will start working with the connected mode, and I'm going to localhost the same. See, now this is my component, and this is the content in the my component. So previously it was the Sraj component because my local contains the Sraj component, but my Sitecore page, Sitecore item contains this particular component. That's why it is showing, because it is working as a connected mode. This is enough explanation about this disconnected and connected. And let's move on to the SSR and SSG. And so SSR server side rendering, and SSG is the static side generation. So there is some differences from here. Okay, for static side generation is working with the static data that is a build time. We have already the static paths. That's why they implements the functions like get static paths and the get static properties. So these things, and it is return the data when you use the SSG. It will return the data from the get static properties by using the GraphQL schema. And pre-render SSR, that is the server side rendering. This is also the same path.txs file, but it implements get server side properties because it's a dynamic data. So every time it will go and fetch the data from the runtime. So that's why it's a server side rendering. Okay, it is the pre-render method. Okay, it doesn't have any static data over here. Okay, it will override the data by fetching it every time, each and every time through the get server side properties it will fetch. So this is the SSR and SSG, and we have the other method for services like REST and GraphQL. So JSS Next.js application uses a Sitecore layout services REST API or GraphQL Edge schema. So there are the two options we have. One is the layout services, and second one is the GraphQL Edge to fetch the layout and the dictionary data. Because we have the data in the Sitecore, we need to fetch it somewhere. Okay, we need to fetch. So that's why we have these options to fetch the data from the Sitecore to the front end. We can change the data fetching method after the project creation as well. Once we created the project, if you see, we have the environment file. Yeah. So in the environment file, see, this is the fetch with here the REST, and we have the, we can change this as a GraphQL as well, but for that we need some activities needs to be happened. We need to get the layout surveys. We have the layout service data. Sorry, dictionary data, layout service factory and dictionary factory. So we have the layout and the dictionary. Let me check that. This is the dictionary service. And there is some changes with this layout service and the dictionary service. Okay, the change is not a big. If you see, I already told we will be having that get server side props and get static props, right? Okay, when you use the REST and the SSR, okay, we need to change this method to sorry, we need to change the return object from this, and we need to change this. Okay, we have the Sitecore also provided the documentation to migrate these things into it. And when we, yeah, so this is the thing for the REST and the GraphQL. And let's move on to the experience editor. This is our agenda. Yeah, so I'm going to walk through how the experience editor is working. If we are the Sitecore developer for a long time, okay, we know, okay, what is the experience editor, because in the traditional method, okay, we have been used this experience editor for to making the change and saving in the preview kind of mode. So it is the one beautiful feature. It was implemented in the Sitecore currently. So we are moving towards the Jamstack architecture. This experience editor, if we are working with the other frameworks, there is a little difficulties to implement it because the Next.js in the sense of Next.js inbuilt, it has route handling, and it has inbuilt preview mode options as well. So that's why we are the Sitecore is preferring to use the Next.js. But the other framework, if you ask, okay, other framework we have, but we need to do some customization to use it, this experience editor. There is a little technical difficulties over there. So that's why the Next.js comes into the picture. So if I go the experience editor here, for example, let me show you initially with this home. This is the experience editor, and so it's not giving any wonder or something, but if you hear the experience editor, we can say Sitecore has already provided the experience editor, it is working. So but how it is migrated, how it is integrated into the Next.js, then that is the beauty, and that we are going to see. And here I already have the home item, and home item having these components. And if you are new and you wanted to know, okay, how to create the component, maybe I will create one here in this, because we have a time, and I'll just so we can go to the project, and we already have the Sitecore JSS app. This folder was created during the import itself. So it will be created, all the necessary templates for the vanilla instance are here. And I have created, for my learning purpose, I have created two templates. I'm going to create here one template, like this is event template. Just create it here in the Sitecore JSS app. We can give, this is builder, we can give even name, description. Okay, so I just give this one even name, even description, and even location. Okay, since this is the event, okay, maybe we will clear this prefix, and we will just put name, description, and location. So I created this event template, and once we created the template, we have to create, as per the Sitecore process, we have to create the renderings. And we'll go here and project. I'm going to create JSON rendering, because I will tell you because the layout services are now we are going to create the JSON rendering. The name is okay. So once we created the rendering, and I'm going to create the component. So component, I'm going to create it by using this event template. Okay. So we don't have any standard values, that's why it is empty. Okay, we can, if you want, okay, we can give the standard values as well. And because if you go, okay, builder options, and then you have the standard values. So I have given the standard values, but so it will reflect over here in the components, event component. Okay, so it is actually delete this and create it new. We take it should take, but it's not analyzes that. Yeah, so event component, and this is SUG CB event. Okay, we can change it as a SUG CB. We can change it as Next.js. Once we created this component, I'm going to create an item for our page, event page. Maybe let me. I'm going to use the existing template only, not a new template. So just going to create the event. Okay. So before that, I have created the renderings. I have created the component. I have created the page as well. Before that, we have to create the placeholder settings. We will include the allow controls. For that, we will go to the project again and placeholder settings project, and then Sitecore JSS app. And let me go to the main here. Into event component. Event. Okay. And in the renderings, now I come back to the renderings, and I need to queue the data source and the data source template. So data source we already created. This is, sorry. Let me check this. Just going to provide the data source template only. Yeah, I'm just This is the event template. So once I provided this data source location and data source template, I'm going to create, I'm going to access the experience editor of this. So experience editor, we have the main placeholder. We already added the allowed controls inside it. If we click this event component here and select, it will be asking for the associated content. So we have to choose from where, okay, the content has to be rendered. And so I'm going to map the component. This is the event component and click OK. Okay, see the error message. Okay, the event component, JSS component is missing React implementation. See the developer console, because the Next.js, see, you can ask me, okay, where is the React implementation? Means Next.js is built on top of the React. So there is nothing new in the structure or something. Next.js are using all the React libraries and React features, and on top of the React only, the Next.js is implementing. That's why it is showing the JSS component missing the React implementation. So now we have to go React implementation in the sense the local front-end application we already have. So this is application. Here we are going to create the component. I already have created the other components as well. Likewise, okay, I'm going to create a component. Component name is event. It is very important. The name should be same as a component created in the Sitecore. So Sitecore, we have created the event component. Here also we have created the TSX file, that is a event component. And once we created, for time consuming, I'm just taking the copy of this. So now it is, see, whenever we click, because there is a Babel running in the backend, okay, the compiling will automatically happen. So when I change that, okay, something is saying, because something is want to override here, it is asking me to reload this. So I'm just giving this because I haven't saved. That's why it will vanish. No problem. We will create later. And I'm creating this one event and product component. I'm going to copy this file for this demo purpose, and I'm just going to change the naming convention of this event component groups. So event component. We remember, right? Okay, what are the fields we have? We have the name, we have the description, and we have the location. There are the three fields, and I'm going to define these three fields, and I'm going to show this is the div, this is the HTML going to render. So here I'm just going to give the location. Okay, that's it. And what I'm going to do is, when I save, it is actually running behind. And so in the main, again, I'm going to create the event component. Here we have see this data SUGCB. This is SUGCB Next.js and Coimbatore. This is a location. This is rendered as expected. And now the question is how this is rendering. So what is the process behind? And that we are going to see now. And this is purely through the layout services, because we already opted the pre-render method for SSR and REST. In the layout services, there is a URL, and I am going to show you. So this is the layout service. The layout service starts with Sitecore API. Sitecore API layout render. This is the layout service. It starts with the end with the JSS. And after that, we have to give the necessary query string parameters of item and SCA API key. What is this API key? Okay, let's go move to here. See the layout services. API key is the backbone of communication between the front end and Sitecore. As you see here, I come back to Sitecore. In the Sitecore, we have a system and then settings, and we have services, and we have API keys. So this API key is, we need to actually create one API key for our project or application, and we have to create, once we created, and we have while giving the setup. So whenever during the initialization, JSS setup has to be required. So during the setup, you have to give this API key. That is mandatory. And this API key, EF, start with EF and 48. So here also, if you see, it started with EF and 48. And I just removed that open parenthesis and close bracket. And so you just go with the GUID of API key. So it will render. This is item slash, in the sense of it is automatically taken the home node. But if we are going particularly for this event page, what I'm going to take is event page GUID we have to get, and item ID. So this one. And then we have to item, just remove this. See, this is the response that's given by the layout services. And here I'm going to copy this and put it in. Let me. Okay, before that, what I'm going to do is I just to go to the JSON beautifier. Beautify. See, and let me go now. See, here we can clearly see the component name, UID, and UID is this one, and component name, and then the field. So there is a field value, and there is a field name, field properties name, description, and location, and value is SUGCBE, and this one, what are the required values? It is there. So this is the one that has provided the value. Okay. So how it is configured from backend to front end, we are going to see now. So this is the layout services I already showed by using this API key. And the next thing is, this is very, very, very important image. It has been available in Sitecore document itself. I will give the reference in later part of the session, or maybe the end of the session. If you see from the Sitecore CMS, what it will do is it will handle, there is a render API route. So we can wonder, okay, what is this render API route? The sense, whenever we configure, I already told we have the JSS setup. While doing the JSS setup, it will be asking for the server-side endpoint URL. So that server-side, the endpoint URL, nothing but the import URL. So that URL, if you see here in the config environment, not okay, the configuration, Sitecore config file, Sitecore config, Sitecore JSS app file, server-side rendering engine endpoint URL. This is our local domain under API editing render. So whenever you, whenever we have the experience editor, so what it will do is it will request here in the API route, render API route. So it will start hitting that render.ts. So this render.ts, where it is in our local application, it is there in the pages. There is API, there is editing, and there is a render.ts. So in the render.ts, okay, it will hit. So whenever it hitting, and it will come into the category of there are the two important middlewares here. So this logic has been applied over here. So in the logic, before the logics, there is one thing that is validating editing secret. So what is that? So this validating editing secret is nothing but, so somebody is calling from somewhere to our local application. It has to be secured, right? So for that security purpose, so it is validating this editing token, that is a JSS editing secret value. So what is this JSS editing secret? Okay, this is nothing but, I already told we have the JSS setup. While doing the JSS setup, we have some configuration needs to be set up. One is the API key, another one is the server-side endpoint URL, and another one is deployment secret. Deployment secret is nothing but it is automatically generate one. So you don't need to create or put it something. When you have the empty while setting up your JSS, so when you click that empty one, it will automatically create and it will be stored over there in the Sitecore JSS app.deployment secret.config file. So this is the deployment secret key. So this key has to be set somewhere. So for this security. Finally, what we are going to do, when you created these two configuration through the setup, we will just do JSS deploy config, means it will be stored in our IIS virtual directory of our backend application itself. So I will show that as well. This is my application, and here you see there is app config, and we have include and ZZ. See, these two config will be exported from there to here. So whenever you give the JSS, the deploy config, so these configurations also will be there. And also you have to maintain one thing for this particular JSS editing secret. That is the one I'm going to show you. Sitecore, we have the JavaScript services, and we have the Sitecore JavaScript services, and then weaveengine.http.config. So when I open this, here there is JavaScript services.weaveengine.http.jss editing secret, the value I just pasted over here. So otherwise we can give like environment file from the environment, okay, it will get it, but I manually put it for my manual purpose checking only. So we have the property called environment.js secret as well. It will during the runtime it will capture the same value only, but I'm using here the manually for my testing purpose. So JavaScript services.weaveengine.http.jss editing secret. This editing secret value. So this value and this environment file, this JSS editing secret value should be same. So this is the one security purpose. See, to secure the Sitecore editor endpoint exposed by Next.js app. So that is API editing render by default. A secure secret token is used. So client side value must match your server side value. So this value must match our server side value. This is the one communication point of the token. So this token has to be validated, and then it will go to the again the editing render middleware. So you can ask, okay, where is that editing render middleware? Okay, it is nothing but there are the three root APIs. Okay, so we have one is the render API root, and second one is the data API root, And third one is the page route. So this render API route is nothing but this editing render middleware. So this middleware, what it will do, the first it will be validating your editing secret. If it is correct, then it will go and extract your data from the services, and it will extract and it will stash. So where it will stash in the editing data services. And after that, what it is going to do, so all your data will be here, but we have to know whether this is coming from the experience editor or the real page data. So for that, one beauty it has done, okay, I will explain these API route later. Before that, I just pitch in with this directly Next.js preview mode. Next.js is inbuilt, okay, preview mode is a built-in feature for the Next.js. So why the preview mode they have enabled is purposefully meant for this CMS features like experience editor, because we know experience editor in Sitecore is using like a preview mode. That's why Next.js is already having the built-in feature of preview mode. So this preview mode is using over here through the editing render middleware. So what it will do is it will be enabling that preview mode. So the next step is enabling the preview mode. Let's jump into here. Enabling the Next.js preview mode. And sorry, something is cut over here. Maybe in the document I will give you, right? Okay, so in that document, everything will be. This is the SVG document. When I copy and paste, it is somehow cut. So in Sitecore document, okay, this particular image is perfect. So you can go and see. So I'm just telling you the enable Next.js preview mode, and then the page request. The page request, when you are requesting, I already told we have the item ID. So item ID is the key over here. So it will be taking from here, from the item ID, and this page route, it will pass. Where is the page route? Okay, just this is the page route. So this TSX here, see, is editing. So here one variable is editing. This is the variable is giving you whether this is the editing file or not. So in that editing, layout data.sitecore.content.page editing. So if you see clearly in the other untitled one, see, Sitecore.layout data, this is the layout data. Layout data contains whole data. .sitecore.context.page editing. So page editing is true in the sense, what it will do is when it enables the Next.js preview mode, so it will be sending the preview cookie along with this particular data. So when it captures the page route, the path TSX, this one, the page route path.txx, when I go here, here what it will do, so it will be fetching and it will be creating accordingly the layout data, the component factory. See, if this component factory is created is editing, this is the editing component factory. This is not a real component. This is the editing component. So this is coming from the experience editor. This particular function give you the exact object of this editing data. So from here, it will be passing to the page props factory. So when the routing will confirm through the item ID, the routing will confirm. So what is the sample data? And then it will go into the page props factory. So where it is stayed, and it is the library and page props factory. Here we have the index.ts. Here we have the context object. So here see, accordingly, if you are using SSG or this one, SSR, it will be accordingly taking the get server side props context or get static props context. So in the page props factory, we have the plugin. So there is a plugin called the preview mode plugin. So in the preview mode plugin, okay, this context will give you the exact data of what is the site data and what is the local, what is the layout data, what is the dictionary data. So this data will be rendered through this plugin, because why? It has the preview cookies. It will be enabled this preview mode. So then this object will be returned. So when you return this fetching the data, if this is the Next.js preview mode, yes. So then fetch preview mode data, the preview mode plugin data. So then it will be getting the editing data services. It will be set And then from here, we have the other API, that is the data API route. Because all the time, if you go and if it fetches newly, if it is checking, it will take a lot of time, right? Okay, we know that we have the caching implementation. That's why this editing data middleware is coming to the picture. So this editing data middleware, what it will do, it will create one key for this particular request. So this key is the unique for the every request. If something changes, the key will be changed. So that's why we have the key dot TypeScript, that is the data API route. If you see here, we have editing data key dot ts. I will show everything in the debug. Okay, you will understand that. Key dot ts. See, so this data will be handling this editing data middleware. This editing data middleware, what it has the editing data cache and editing data this cache. See, it will be taking all the values. Whenever it is setting the data, it will be getting creating the key, and for that creation, okay, it will store the data. So whenever you getting the data from the same key, okay, it will fetch the data from the cache. So finally, this has been one editing data disk cache is there. So to be honest, okay, I don't know exactly what purpose this is, but they said the Vercel deployment, this will be acting as a serverless function, but I don't know what it is. Maybe because I don't have an experience on that, but the editing data disk cache working as a serverless function when we deploy the things in Vercel. So here till here, okay, I know it clearly. So whenever we have the data, so it will be storing with the key. So if the data is coming with the same key, okay, it will directly fetching and getting it from here and here. But if the data is different means, okay, it will go differently and it will set all these preview things, and then again it will come into the picture. So this is how it is working. And render, I already explained about these three data: render API route, data API route, and the page route. So the page route is nothing but, I already told that page.tsx. So page.tsx is storing all the root cache, optional root cache from the Next.js, and then it will pass into the page props factory. So from here, it will work as a preview mode plugin. So from here, it will come, right? Okay, that is the page route. So data API route is nothing but it is storing the data and fetching the data. So from the cache, it will take, it is using for the storing and fetching. See, it is a dynamic Next.js API route responsible for handling storage and retrieval of data from the Sitecore editor. And middleware is the editing data middleware. If you see, if you go and put it here, this middleware, this is query param key, that is a key, and editing data cache. So this is the data, this is the key. So it is working with this key and data. So this is the editing data middleware, this is the data route, and this is the page route. Page route is nothing but all the Sitecore pages routes, and it is defined in the path.tsx. And I'm going to show you through the log. Just check. Yeah. Now I'm going to enable the debug. This is the one option we have in the environment file. If you want to debug through the what is happening in the behind, if you wanted to know about what is happening behind means, okay, we can debug through the logs what is happening. So that's why I'm just enabling this debug to show you how it is happening. Maybe what I'm going to do is, oh, sorry, because of this, I'm not able to. I'll just go from the beginning. Oh. Course loss about operation has timed out. So, okay. Yes, sometimes okay, it will take like that. But this is not a, this is a temporary issue. But what I will do is, okay, I'll just go disconnected and connected again. This is a temporary issue. Sometimes operation is taken time out because of that. Wait, one more thing. Okay, we have a debugger listening as well here. If we know very strong in debugging VSS code and VS code, and we can debug and attaching this process as well, that would be more prompt way. But so I can't. I don't have that knowledge right now. Maybe from the next time onwards, okay, I will just do. So just see. This is the one. Okay, I wanted to show you. I will just go one more time. Here the end, right? Okay, then it will start somewhere. This time it won't confuse because I'm going to refresh only one time. This is compiling. Yeah. So here, so yeah, compiled successfully. After compiling, what it is doing is first the render middleware start. So as I told already, let me open that image side by side, then you'll understand. See. Here the render API route, this is the editing render middleware. Okay. So here what happens? Sitecore JSS editing render middleware start. So it is fetching all the values. Okay. And then it is storing. The storing in the sense, this editing data services and data API route, and this will be stored as a cache. So this storing is happening. The next step is Sitecore JSS editing data. So the key has been created here. So this is the key. So this is the key has been created and fetching the page route for event. See, by using the item ID, it fetches the item path, that is /event, because we have the domain and we have /event. This is the page. This page route will be passing along with the cookie. So one cookie will be created for the preview mode. So that will be passing to the page route here. So in the experience data and the path, it will be getting, and then Sitecore this request. So this request is localhost event, and then this request will be coming over here. So already we have the stored data. So it will be fetching from the data API route from the backend. So that's why it will be rendered as a HTML. See, retrieval editing data. So the key is the same key. So the same key will be there. Okay, so it is already stored in the cache and it will be taking from the data services, and then the response. The response is nothing but the response is the HTML response. The response will be coming over here as a written HTML in the editing render middleware again, and it will be passing again back to the node. So this is how it is working. So which means, okay, this is the really there is important thing is editing render middleware and editing data middleware. These are the two API routes and one page route. So what API route is doing? So it is validating the JS editor key and it is fetching the data. So there is a one property called easy editing. So if that is there, then it will be confirming and enabling the Next.js preview data, and then it will request by using the page route path, and from there it will be storing, it will be confirming whether this is a Next.js preview mode. So then it will be returning the plugin preview mode plugin value. It is already stored, the value here, it is already stored already in the this one cache. So by using this key, so retrieval also using this key, so the same data will be returning as a HTML. So this is how it is working, and so we have seen it in the debug, okay, how it is working, and it is rendered properly over there in the this is properly working in the Sitecore experience editor. So that's it. I don't know how long it is taken, and so JSS editing secret is important, and then 3 API routes, 2 API routes and 1 page route, and Next.js preview mode, and we already debug and walkthrough done. And thank you so much, guys. So that's it from my side for this session.
Tim, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask. We have 2 more minutes.
Is that clear, right? First of all, let me, because this is a learning and apply the things.
Yep. Yes, it is. So it was a wonderful session.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Siraj, one question came, I think, from
how to deploy Next.js app in production. As far as I know, we will not use, because disconnected mode is out of scope. So we have the connected mode, but in the production, maybe we have the one more mode is the integration mode. That is using the rendering host. I know I did not apply in the production, but theoretically I know. So it will be applied whenever you click the domain. What it will happen is the rendering host will do all these steps. So there is no connector, there is no disconnector. So there is a mode called the integrated mode. So then the this rendering host will take part of it. Maybe okay, I will learn more on that, and I will cover the topic in future sessions. Yeah, this is how it works in the production. But I know, I'm sure it is working through the integrated mode in the production. Can you tell some
question from Ranjit?
Yeah, can you tell some example of how SSR and SSG works? Example, real-time example. If you see, if you have any of the applications, if you have the dynamic data, for example, you have an application like for share marketing. Share market application has the new data coming into the seconds in a minute. Okay, in that applications, we will be definitely going for the SSR because those applications. Because that will be taken the real-time data, and the data will be rendered, and data will be fetching newly in the runtime. So that time we have to go SSR. But SSG means, okay, if you have any constant and static data, so to be presented, okay, if you want the client should not be suffering the page broken or something, you can still show the static data through the SSG. So that is the static site generation. So if you have, for example, in your site, there is some data is always static. Some data is only the dynamic means. Okay, you can still show the data through the SSG. This is how the real time it works. In SSR and SSG, there is technically speaking, okay, in our scenario, SSR will work for mostly with the REST services, that is layout services. The SSG, we have the GraphQL schema. So that is working, and we have that SSR and SSG. We have, I already told, like we have 2 different contexts. It will be taking server side properties for Next.js, SSG we have, if this is the data fetch is pre-rendered method is SSG, it will be rendered through the get static properties. So we have an option in Next.js as well. Will Next.js rendering component ever deployed to Next.js rendering component ever deployed to Sitecore instance like MVC component? I don't see it, but this is a good question. This is Ravindra. Okay. So anyway, see, Prabhu, what one help from your side? You just note down, because I don't know whether I can fetch it after this meeting. You just note down all the questions and send it to me, and I can. So whatever I'm not answered, okay, I can ping them and I can tell them. So, and also if possible, I can post in my LinkedIn. See if I get the proper answer. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So any other question, guys? Okay, so feel free to contact me. Maybe my name is Mohammed Siraj. I already told, but yeah, I have a LinkedIn profile and I can send it.